Come on, Emily. Emily. All right, let me try it this way. Let me try inviting her. All right, Emily. There we go. Waiting for Emily.
God, this is the hardest thing I've ever done.
There she is. Sorry,
Oh
everybody.
my God, it wasn't me. It was I don't know.
It's probably the internet connection. Everybody and their mother is on the internet right now.
Even the internet.
Even the internet. The internet is tired and it wants a break.
Yeah.
Oh, you look so flustered. I love you.
No, I was like really like freaking out because okay.
So
I just need to sanitize.
oh, already sanitizing. We're on TV. All right, guys. So let me tell you why Emily was so stressed right there. So she is a Virgo like me. We're days apart in birth. And she is one of those people that is so on time. Like the very first time she came over to my house, I told her to be there at 7, and the doorbell literally rang right at 7. And later on, I was like, you know what? Once I found out she was a Virgo, I'm like, that's why you're on time. I'm like, oh, you make my heart sing. I'm like, I love that you walked in right at 7. And she's like, well, I was actually outside for like 20 minutes, but I wanted to wait until exactly 7. So now when she comes over, I know to text her and be like, hey girl, I know you're downstairs. Come on up.
Yes, I always, when I'm there 20 minutes early, I get a text from you that it's okay. That yeah, I have to be everywhere. Usually it's an hour early, and then I hide, and then I go in. But I've stopped. I think being Canadian has stopped me from doing the hour early thing because we deal with winter, and
Right.
I don't drive in Toronto, and so if you're somewhere an hour early outside, it's cold.
Yeah. I was filming up there a few weeks ago, or I don't know. My whole time perception is gone now. A few weeks, could be a few months.
Time doesn't actually, when you're in quarantine, it's kind of like dog years, like it changes.
Yeah.
Because everything seems like either way longer or like everything seems so far away when it was like yesterday. So,
hi, Taylor Moxie. So, somebody that has commented, her name is Taylor. So when I had a store in Miami, it was right in this high-rise building, and it was right by the valet stand. And so every day when her and her mom or dad, or her and her dad would like go to take her to like ballet practice, while they were waiting for their car, she'd come into the store and just like start like dancing for us. And she was, God, you were probably what, like maybe 5 at the time. And she has now grown up to be this amazing dancer and chef, and she's like started her own chain of libraries, the Taylor Moxie Foundation. So everybody go check out the Taylor Moxie Foundation and check out one day who will be our president. Guaranteed.
Oh, isn't it weird though when somebody was like the kid I used to babysit, he just like graduated from Cambridge. It's weird. So
no, anyways, how could that be? Like, we were born in 91.
Yeah.
All right.
90s,
so
yeah, okay.
So guys, on top of having Emily on today, we're going to be doing some trivia a little bit later on, and it's going to be all about Canadian facts, because I know, Emily being Canadian is really good. I know. She's real good at the Canadian facts, don't you know? And I'm going to donate $250 to Feed America if she gets them all right. And if we can get up, if we can get up to 5,000 views on this, so 5,000 people watching right now, so tag all your friends and tell them to come on, I will triple that donation. So tag your friends on here, tell them to come watch, and Feed America, I will triple the donation if Emily wins. And if she doesn't win,
I feel like I'm going to like starve America. because I don't know. I know about poutine though. Ask me any food questions from Canada.
I purposely left poutine off because that's not even fair. You
Yeah,
know,
no.
like if you're
Yeah,
Canadian, you know poutine. All right, so
okay.
I want to talk first about like our friendship and how we became friends. So we became quick thins very fast. Like we're kind of two birds of a feather in many ways. So it was
very fast. Like I never. Yeah. Okay. Very.
it was God, it feels like it's been years, but I feel like it was just actually this last September. It was the Netflix after party,
Oh.
and I got to meet. I met Dan. I met Annie. I attempted to meet Catherine. I didn't get to meet Eugene, but I met Dan and Annie. And all night I was just like, I mean, I love them, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, oh my God, I wanted to meet Emily so bad because I'm like, I was such a fan of yours from 12 Monkeys.
Which like blew my mind because the first time we saw each other, you went, Jennifer! And
it was, yes. Oh, that was at the Ampar Gala. I'm like, Jennifer! And everyone looked at me, they're like, that's Emily. I'm like, I know, I'm an idiot, but that's my favorite role she's played. But so that night, like drunkenly on my way home, I'm like, I'm just gonna slide into her DMs. And I slid into Emily's DMs and I'm like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with you. You're so talented. I'm so sad I didn't get to meet you. And like instantly like bubble, 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 bubble. I'm like,
I'm so instantly I'm so thirsty.
And the very next day you were at my house. And we've been in love ever since.
Which was crazy. It was like the first, like if you ask Dan or anybody who knows me, it's a lot to get me out of my house, which is interesting that, you know, quarantine and everything. Yeah. So
how has quarantine been going?
Huh?
How has quarantine been going?
Well, basically, I've been practicing for this all my life. So most people who know me know it takes a lot for me to go out and do anything. I'm I think in elementary school, all my report cards said Emily plays well alone. And so I feel bad that I have been thriving in this environment, even though it's obviously a horrible time. But I think there's some people who can quarantine well and some people who can't, and I am one of those who can.
I'm lucky that I have Dewey here.
Oh yeah.
I think if I was like quarantined in my apartment by myself, I would have went nuts. But in turn, sometimes I'm like, I wish I was quarantined by myself. Because this is also a lot of time to spend. And I mean, Dewey and I have been together for 16 years. Don't get me wrong. I love him and I love spending time with him. But when you go from two people who travel a lot to being together 24/7, and when he first got here a week ago, he had been working in New York, or no, 2 weeks ago tomorrow, he had been working in New York. And so we're like, you know what, you should kind of self-quarantine. Yeah. So we weren't sleeping in the same room together. And he only the last few nights started sleeping with me. And I'm like, go back to your room. I can't sleep.
Yeah. You get used to. But also, quarantining with someone because you're well, no, that you're not in a small space. I'm in a small space. I like small space. I'm also a denning animal, so that helps. Like I could be quarantined in like a plane pod, like the little pods on the planes, or like a small space.
I've never got to be in one of the pods on a plane. Hashtag relatable.
I have nothing to. Moving on.
All right. So from the night we didn't meet at the Emmys after party to the day after to you being one of my best friends since then to the Elton John Oscar party where she was my train girl, aka my arm candy, aka my date.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
I don't think I've ever really been someone else's plus one. So it was nice. All pressure off. It
was also very nice. Like we talked about this like midway through the night that, you know, a lot of times like Dewey doesn't even want to go to those things because he doesn't care. He's so not into it. Even like the Oscars and the Emmys, he's like, babe, I don't care. I don't need to go. And so like when I bring somebody that's not in the industry, I'm all night like making sure that they're comfortable and making sure that they're being entertained and that they're okay and I don't lose them. And with you though, it was great because I didn't have to worry about any of that.
Well, but we both talked about that. That was like, we were each other's kind of ideal dates because of exactly that. Like, I always go with my manager because I can leave when I want. I don't have to feel bad, like if I'm talking to someone. Yeah. So I think this is a thing we might do again.
I agree. I agree. If we ever get out of quarantine.
Oh yeah. Oh, we should do like, we should do like something where you have to dress up like for an event, but like in quarantine.
So Joey King, as you know, you met her at my house.
Yeah.
She and her boyfriend have been doing like, I think it's on Fridays, like dress up Fridays, and they're like tuxes and gowns. And I'm like, we should all do that.
That's a good idea. Yeah. And you can control how much you see so like if I, couldn't fit into the gown from here down, I could just have the gown from here up.
I didn't do the back of my hair because I knew I was only going to be seen from the front.
Exactly. I love this. You can really control everything. And for Virgos,
I just looked at my notes and as you said Virgo, I looked at the bullet point that said Virgo.
Oh, see?
Same wavelength.
Yeah.
So, but we talked about that already. So another thing that Emily got me to do was the Don't Tell My Mother live stand-up show. So when we first became friends, she's talking about this live show that she's going to do, and she's kind of terrified, and she's got to get up and do stand-up. And I'm like, oh God, this sounds terrifying.
Yep.
I can get up in front of 100,000 people when I'm not having to when I'm just like reading a teleprompter or something. It doesn't bother me at all. But having to get up there and do stand-up, that's terrifying. So
it's like, don't tell my mother. It's a true story you have to tell. And what I was terrified about was I watched some before. I think I watched Terry Hatcher's that she'd done before, and it was so good that I was like, it's like when I saw Hamilton, I'm like, why would I ever do anything ever again? It's so good. So I was like, I told the person who, Nikki, who created this show, I'm like, I'll serve coffee and tea and I'll introduce things, but I can't do it. And then of course she made me do it, and I in turn paid that forward and made you do it.
Yes. So like a day before, maybe 2 days before the show, you text me and you're like, hey, so one of the people that was supposed to be in it had some legal issues. So we need somebody that can fill in for them. Do you want to do it? And I'm like, fuck no. Like, I can't even think of a funny story right now, more or less pull my shit together in 2 days. So that being said, 2 months later, I finally did it, and it was terrifying, but so much fun. So much fun.
Because I did tell you that it will change your life in a weird way. I don't know. It was such a cathartic moment for me, because just doing something you're so scared of doing, and it actually kind of working out well. I mean, if it had been a disaster, then we wouldn't be here. We would have, I don't know, just not be here.
I honestly don't remember mine.
Okay.
It's between, I think it was between the sheer terror. So I just went on autopilot and just blocked it out. And the fact that the drinks at that bar were so strong. And I think I had just one too many.
One too many, or just had one because they were that strong?
Yeah. It was like
funny.
gin with a splash of tonic.
Yeah. The not remembering, but yeah, I don't remember mine either at all. Similarly to, I don't remember or didn't remember my Schitt's Creek audition, and Dan regularly talks about that because it was he talks about it in our live show, but it was another instance where you just do something and it's like blackout, you don't remember it all.
Yeah. My Queer Eye auditions, I had massive flu. Now, of course, I wouldn't be able to come in.
So you were patient zero?
Yeah, I was patient zero 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
God, I can't believe it's only been 3 years. It feels like 20.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Hi in Brazil. Hi, Jessica. Obrigado.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting that there's all these.
Greetings from Germany.
People.
Danke.
I
know a little bit of a lot of languages, just enough to say hello, thank you, and goodbye.
Oh, hello from Canada. See?
Oh, yeah, you betcha.
These people could maybe help me if I don't get the answer right.
Yeah, they can help. Hi, Neil. Miss you.
Oh, Neela, that's my friend.
No, Neil
No,
from...
but okay, yeah, I saw Neil, but then there was a Neela. Neela's my friend, yeah.
Hi, Neela. Neela and Neil. Hi, Schitt's Creek. Oh, might be some of that audition footage in our special, just saying. Can't wait.
Oh, wow. That's funny. Yes, okay.
I would actually love to see the footage from our auditions because there's a picture of us on the night at the end of auditions. And like, I look at that picture now and I'm like, I don't know who any of these boys are. Like, none of us look, well, actually, Tan looks exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
But the rest of us do not.
Yeah. It's funny, we look back at our things, like me and Dan are regularly, so like if somebody posts a thing from season 1 and I'll send it to him and be like, we are so old. We were babies. And it's so weird how much we've like grown. Well, we did it for 6 years, but it feels like it went by so fast.
When did you start filming Schitt's?
2013 or 14. Wow. One of the, 6 years. Math, if we're doing trivia on math, that's not going to work out well.
So if it was 2013, it would be 7 years. And
okay,
2014
so
would be 6.
Okay, 2014. But also, well, we ended last year, though. Okay, never mind. I'm not even going to argue this one.
No, I just saw somebody that said Jonathan would not like the idea of showing the audition footage. Actually, Jonathan totally would. I don't know of any footage Jonathan's ever been in that he would not be okay with showing. He always owns anything he ever does. And our auditions were cute.
I would love to see your auditions.
So how did you audition for Schitt's for Queer Eye? How did you audition for Queer Eye and then not make it and end up on Schitt's Creek?
Audition for Queer Eye. Well, it's weird. It's like I was going through. It's funny. I'm stuttering because I'm like, I want to ask Schitt's Creek if I'm allowed to tell this story because it's the same story that we did in the show. But anyways, I think I am, unless Schitt's Creek comes on and says stop talking.
All right, they have 4 seconds to say it.
4 seconds.
4, 3, 2, 1. Nope.
Okay. So, both Annie and I have a really ironically shitty pre-Schitt's story or life. Hers is maybe a bit worse. Her house burnt down before she auditioned for Schitt's. Yeah, it was really bad. Except when she tells it, I laugh because I laugh at everything tragic that happens to Annie. It's funny because I don't know, that's a terrible thing to say, but you would get it if we were together. Okay. Anyways, I had just gotten a divorce. I had $800 in my bank. I was moving into my friend's closet, literally her closet, but it was a walk-in, so it's okay. Yes. And then I got the audition for Schitt's, and at that time I was like, I can't audition anymore because I'd been out in LA for a while and I would break out in hives every time I went into an audition. I'm sounding like a catch. Anyways, I would break into hives, like full body hives when I would walk into it. I just developed this crazy anxiety about auditioning, and I said, I'll only put myself on tape. And so I said to my Canadian agent, I'm going to put myself on tape. And she's like, no, go in. They're Canadian. They're nice. And so
common misconception. No.
Well,
I'm kidding.
I went in, and I have no recollection after that until the casting director came to set last year and was like, oh, remember when you did this thing in your audition? And I'm not going to say it so people can go watch the thing where we talk about it. And I'm like, no, I did not do that thing. And then Dan reminded me of what I did, and now it's going to be on some thing that they're releasing that I probably signed an okay for because I wasn't reading the whole thing. I had to sign an okay for.
Oh, it's always the clips that we're like, oh my God, I hope they don't use that. I can't believe I just did that. That they absolutely 100% use.
Okay. So I can be sure of that.
Always.
Okay.
Always. every time.
I would love to see yours though. Like,
it makes the best
I
TV.
can't even imagine what you guys would have to do. Like, would you have to decorate for your audition?
No, so the final like half day of auditions was they put 5 of us in a room, and originally in the beginning it wasn't like the 5 that you know now. They were rotating people in and out to like test chemistry of like their tops and of their tops, the chemistry of the tops. And they would have a whole dossier like we read in the car of the hero. And for mine, at first they were like, "All right, Bobby, what would you do?" And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, do you have pictures of their house or anything? So the first few, they didn't. They're like, oh, yeah. They're like, hold. So I swear they just went on Google and Googled like nastiest apartments, nastiest houses, and printed out pictures. And then they're like, all right, what would you do with this? And I'm like, clean it. Yeah. So it was mine. I had to really pull some acting in there because I'm like, I don't know. It's you know, fashion and hair, like it's very easy. Like I'm looking at that person, I can see what I'd change about them.
Yeah.
Karamo is always good.
I feel like you do have the hardest job because you actually have to do like a real big job. And like it's like labor intensive too. So
it is. Don't get me wrong. I have a big team that helps me do most of the labor, but it definitely is the most time consuming, I'd say.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked about shits. We've talked about Queer Eye. I want to give another shout out to Feed America. I'm going to be donating money to Feed America at the end of this if Emily gets all her Canadian trivia questions right. Afterwards, when we repost this, I'll also have a little sticker on the story for Feed America that you can click on to donate to help Feed America.
Hey, if I don't get them right, though.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you know I'm going to donate anyways, but still keep that pressure.
I will donate the $250.
Oh.
So it'll be like on me. So, okay, so there is a loser if I win, but it will be on me. Anyways, have I ruined the whole thing?
No, not at all.
No anticipation of. Anyways.
So, my first experience with Miss Emily was Jennifer Goines on 12 Monkeys. And there really is no better time than now to watch 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys, if you've seen the movie, it's, I think, loosely based on the movie. Emily plays Brad Pitt's character.
Yes.
It's
just like not as, like, I didn't bring the abs.
She plays it better. She plays it better.
That's very nice. Just without his abs, but that's fine.
It would, you know what? Honestly, it would have been weird.
Yep.
If you had those abs, because they wouldn't look right on you. So I'm fine with that.
And that's not Jennifer. But you're right. Like it's blown my mind. Terry, the creator, Terry Metalis, who created 12 Monkeys, were constantly like sending me these articles where it's quoting like the opening. So 12 Monkeys is about a virus that like wipes out the.
I mean, very different virus, way stronger than coronavirus, but it wipes out like what, 98% of the world's population?
Yes. Yeah. Basically, the only way to fix that is to go back in time.
It's a splinter.
So we need to start working on time travel now. But anyways, so Terry's always sending me these articles because, I think the opening scene of 12 Monkeys is Amanda Schull, who plays Cassie, and she works at the CDC, and she says it was never about if, it was about when. And someone from the CDC actually said that, which is terrifying.
Who's the founder of Microsoft? Bill Gates. I think Bill Gates said that as well. And I'm like, the doctor from 12 Monkeys. What was her name on? Cassie.
In 12 Monkeys. Her real name's Amanda Schull, and she's phenomenal. That Center Stage was her. She was a ballerina, and like big movie. But yeah, it blows my mind that everything we talked about in 12 Monkeys as something that was such a wild premise, like, is real now.
Yeah.
So that's. Yeah.
So go watch 12 Monkeys. It really is, especially if you're into, because it is sci-fi because it's based on time travel, and as far as we know, time travel doesn't exist. It could, who knows? But it's sci-fi in that, but it's not really like spacey sci-fi. So some people don't like that type of sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's just the thing I love about it is because it goes back in time, you have like the future, which the future is apocalyptical, so it's apocalyptic, so it's not like spacey. And then you go back in time to like France and Germany, and you get all these like really cool, like Emily at one point she gets sent back in time, and I think they forget about you for not forget about you, but kind of lose you in time for 5 years, and she becomes this like famous French actress and this famous French singer, and sends like messages to the future in her songs. It's just
because I think if I create the greatest show, like I put on E.T. and I put on Jaws plays in the 20s, so that maybe they will be written about, and then in the future they will know that that's me. And then, anyways, 5 years it took them to come and find me. But
one of my favorite scenes is also, I mean, it's kind of a gory scene, but it takes the gore to get to your amazing performance where you're singing 99 Balloons, because you're in the middle of World War II and you're in the trenches. Like, I think it probably in France. I think this is around the same time.
Yeah.
And you have the Germans coming and they are killing Allied soldiers. And you're sitting there trying to figure out what German you know.
Yeah.
So to like throw them off. And it turns out the only German she knew was 99 Balloons. Yeah. So, and
then she goes into the fantasy of 99 balloons, and that was the greatest party trick I had for a long time, that I knew that song in German, in the original German. I could do karaoke, and now I can't do it anymore, but
Scheiße.
Yeah. That's funny. All of us though realize how, like, as actors, to get to be on a show where you do every time period. I played myself at 65, talking to myself younger. Like, you don't get to do that unless you're in theater, and this was just such a gift. And also, it was like, it's so well written. It's a great show.
I
think the difference is, like, something like Schitt's, you can just watch and bang out, and it's so easy and enjoyable. And something like 12 Monkeys, you do have to invest and really think, because it does all add up, and
it flips back and forth, and what better time now to invest in time than when we have all this time.
Yes.
Somebody asked you to speak in French, and since you are from Quebec, you can do so.
No, but that's different French. It's very different French.
It's French Canadian.
It's French Canadian.
French.
And God, I'll post my thing. I feel like my on-command French is an embarrassment to my entire culture and where I come from. No, I can't even. I'll post my. I think I remember my Jennifer stuff, which was like, oh no, I only remember this one. Like, Mesdames et Messieurs, Nazis, je suis J.H. Bond. And it was when I just said Nazis, but it was because I was singing to the Nazis.
Oh, I know. Right, as Cassie and what's his name were downstairs about to blow things up.
Yeah. So on that show, I got to kill Hitler. Like, I mean, if you're going to have a time machine, kill Hitler.
It's funny because when you said, maybe it's about time for us to go back and try to fix it. And literally in my mind, I was like, oh, no. The first thing you do is you kill Hitler.
Yes.
That is a scientific responsibility. Whoever invents time, that's your first stop, and then do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
All right. So also, if you go, I'm not going to show it now because I tried to do it earlier and the sound doesn't come through very well. But when you guys are done watching this, Google Jennifer Goines 12 Monkeys snorts.
Oh my God.
Emily makes the most amazing random like noises as Jennifer.
Someone did a compilation of them.
And somebody went through and did a compilation of all the crazy, weird ass noises she makes while she is portraying Jennifer. And the funny thing is, like, she makes them every day in real life.
See, that's the thing, that I think a lot of people think I would be like Stevie because Stevie's a lot more normal of a person than Jennifer.
No, don't say normal. Just different.
Different, totally different. But I am, if you had to say which am I more personally like, it would be the crazy one. Yep.
The funny thing is, though, everybody that sees Queer Eye assumes like I'm this quiet, I don't say much kind of person, but I'm not. I just, there's other people around me that say more.
Yeah.
And it's also it's very hard when you're on a cast of 5 people. And we're not talking on a script. So it's not like things are timed to where I say this and then you say this. Like, it's not a script. So all 5 of our minds are always going a million miles a minute. And we're always thinking of things we want to say. And it's hard to get that in.
That would be hard. I would hate that. Like, I love improv, but improv, like, that needs to be in a structure of a story and a point. Because if you don't have that, then you have actors trying to, like, get the best line. And so if it's, like, 5 guys, that must be hard. Okay.
That's it. And my mama taught me to not talk over people.
Yeah. My mom taught me to not talk.
All right.
It's polite, anyways.
What's your favorite behind the scenes moment that we wouldn't know about from Shits?
That you wouldn't know about?
That we wouldn't know about, yeah.
Oh gosh, behind the scene moment from Shits. Yeah. Putting me on the spot.
I know. I get this question all the time on Queer Eye, and I'm like, I don't know.
I know. Whenever anybody asks us, and then tonight at 3 a.m, I'm gonna be like, oh, Bobby, it was that. But
everyone gets a live notification at like 3, and it's just you sitting there going,
yeah. I'm gonna think of them all. Oh gosh. I mean, I feel like the one I can just like that comes to mind first is this thing where Chris Elliott, who plays Roland on the show, first of all, he's always purposefully being disgusting, like taking food and like be purposefully doing that. But he was talking to me at the desk and he snorted or something. This is gonna be triggering for the times. He had a sneeze and this giant like liquid but still in a sack of snot came down and then he sucked it up. And I believe that the blooper reel is out now, and they managed to somehow be filming and got like filming close enough to his nostril because it was on me, and it was that was a moment. That was a moment.
We had a very similar one with Jonathan. Have you seen the ad campaign of us as cheerleaders?
Oh yeah.
So while we were filming that, it's the scene when we're like laying on the bleachers, and Jonathan was laying down on the bleacher, and Anthony said something funny, and Jonathan either I don't know if he sneezed or when he laughed, but he just really horribly snotted like all over the bleacher, and he was just like, which then made Anthony. I've never seen Anthony lose it more than he did that moment. Like he fell on the ground laughing his ass off, and we couldn't finish filming for a good 10 minutes because we could not stop laughing. So no matter how old we are, snot makes us laugh.
Yeah. Weirdly, snot, poop jokes and fart jokes. We're all like
bodily sounds.
11.
Yep.
Yeah. Like the full circle to what it's titled something. If these snorts could talk. If these snorts could talk.
And now everything. Let's see. Yeah. Drop everything you're doing and watch Jennifer Goines make noises. That's the article. So yeah. It's the best. It's on sci-fi.com. Yeah, but just Google Jennifer Goines snorts.
Yeah, it was just a masterful job in compilation and editing.
Somebody just asked me what Tan's reaction was to the snot. It was exactly what you would expect. He was mortified and ran away.
I love Tan. Tan is so. Remember when we were at the Elton John thing, and he is just such a like force of good. He has an aura of love and kindness, and like not in a cheesy way.
Yeah,
and just,
but don't piss him off. Are you talking about when he like?
I'm very scared of.
So at the Elton John thing, some audience member, when we were not off stage, made a comment to Tan, and I won't say who it is. And actually, I don't even know who it was, and it was nobody of any name. It was just a random person. Made a comment to Tan as he walked by and said, "You guys are being way too gay up there. Could you maybe gay it down a little bit?" And he was like, "Excuse me. First of all, this is the Elton John AIDS Foundation at the Oscars. Like."
You're the wrong place for gay it down.
Yeah, second of all, if you think we're too gay for you, just fuck off. Yeah, and at that point, though, like, Tan made it his personal job to make sure that that person was found and removed from the entire event. And I was like, good for you. And he was always very calm and collected and cool, but that person didn't stand a chance.
No. Oh my God. I forgot about that though. When at the time when he told us what the comment was, can't believe I didn't link it to, we were at the Elton John.
Yeah. If you were expecting less gay, probably went to the wrong viewing party.
Yes.
So back to shits.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us something that we wouldn't know about Catherine O'Hara.
Oh my gosh, you should have asked me these questions before so I could think about them, because you know what I'm not good at? Was spontaneous, like Postmates. When Postmates, you're ordering and you have to make these split-second decisions about, do I want to substitute this juice for that non-juice but kind of like juice substance, and you've got to decide now or you get nothing. I can't think like that. I'm slow. I'm very slow.
What do you mean? When they message you. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You have no, I've been talking for, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
I was like, I've never had to I never realized that there was a timer on how quickly you had to put your order in.
No,
but I'm like, okay.
Timer. It's my Virgo. It's not a timer. It's me being like, I need to respond. I need to be on time to respond, or else I'm not going to get anything. But anyways, I'm already very stressed about that. Something about Catherine O'Hara that you wouldn't know, like in life?
Yeah, something funny about her, maybe.
Funny about her, you know, it is hard to truthfully say funny things about Catherine in life, because her and Eugene are both pathologically nice. Like, to the point where if somebody offers you a coffee on set and you're not going to get them a coffee back and then get everyone a coffee, then you are a diva and not a nice person, like, in comparison. So something, I mean, God, we had done a movie together years before Shits, and I couldn't believe, like, she helped me get my green card. And, you know, I don't know if you wouldn't know this because you're American, but when you
but I'm married to someone that is not American.
Okay, so he had to prove that he was a person of extraordinary ability in his field?
No, because he came over when he was 13.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Anyways, so like she's the type of person who just like, I emailed her and she was like right away yes and no, and this was years after, and like remembers people and is kind to people. I really want to think of something good. I mean, she took wigs home. She took her favorite wigs home. I don't have anything good for you.
So Catherine is a thief.
I'm gonna think of it again at 3 a.m.
You know what? I think the cutest thing is that she's not actually a diva. Because sometimes when somebody can play a diva quite as well as she does with Moira, you might think, oh, maybe that's really her. But I love that that's not.
Yeah, no.
That Catherine's walking around with the tray of coffees, like handing them out to people.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any tell me something about Tan.
This is my interview?
I just want you to fail as well so we can all be on
You didn't fail.
Well, I feel like I did.
Wait a minute. Hello, I am James Cole. Oh, I thought it was who plays James Cole?
Aaron Stanford.
Somebody was like, "Hello, I am James Cole." I'm like, "Oh my God, is it him?" But no, it's the fan. Yeah. It's funny. I never know who anybody's name is. I'm so bad about knowing. Like, I know people's faces. Like, Tan and I were at 30 Rock one day, and we were waiting to go on a talk show, and this guy walks up, and he's like, "Oh my God, I am such a fan. My wife is gonna freak. Can I get a selfie with you guys?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure, mate, of course." And we take a selfie, and then I turn around, and everyone's face is just like, and I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, "Who was that?" And everyone starts laughing. I'm like, no, really, like, who was that? No, Bon Jovi. I was like, oh, I'm like, I knew his face. I'm like, I knew he was somebody, but I never know anybody's name.
But it is weird. Like, you must have had this experience too, because we've just recently experienced things like you go to the SAG Awards and like Nicole Kidman wants to take a picture with you. It's like, and Kelly Clarkson is talking about your show. Like, when people who you're like, oh my God, yeah, that's kind of crazy. But then also when you start going to those things a lot, I have this thing where I think I know everyone, and then I have to tell myself, oh, it's because they're on the TV, and it's because they're on, yeah. So you just.
Oh God, that takes me. So I'm not going to say. So the night that I wanted to meet you, that same after party. And if you're watching, I feel so bad. The next day I realized who you were and that I was such an idiot. But I met somebody who I thought was somebody else.
Oh, that's good.
And I was like, oh my God, I love you. And we were like hanging out and we're dancing. And then I was like, you know what? I have loved you since you were in blah, blah, blah. And I said the name of the show that the other person that I thought she was in was in. And I remember her looking at me going, oof, and not really realizing why. I'm like, oh, she must have not liked that role. And then it wasn't until the next day I was sitting there and I go, frozen. Oh my God. I'm like, that's not her. That's her. And I'm like, and I knew who she was. I just drank too much. Oh my God.
Well, listen, people regularly tell me how much they like my performance in House of Cards. So.
Who did they think you are?
Hey, Mara.
I'd know her face. See, I don't know her name.
What?
I'm sure I would know her face, but again, I never know anybody's name.
Know her face. Yeah.
Yeah. I was on a red carpet once, and Zan from Eid, you know her, blonde, really pretty. I'm sure you've seen her on a million red carpets. Mm-hmm. Her and I are friends, so she always pokes at me when I'm on there, and she also knows that I never know who anybody is. So she's like, so Bobby, if you could give any celebrity a makeover, who would it be? And again, I'm like, I don't know who anybody is. So I'm like, so I'm like, oh, you know, Zan, that's really off brand for us. You know, we don't make people over. We help make them better. And she's like, not going to let that slide. And she's like, all right, so what celebrity would you make better? And I'm like, all right, then, that's enough. I'm like, you know, I never know who anybody is. And she's like, what about Cole Sprouse? And I was like, I have no clue who that is.
Okay, good, because I have no clue.
He's on Riverdale. He was from Nickelodeon.
But that's only because.
But she was like, "Oh, he's standing right here next to you," and I'm like,
"Whoa, that's bad." The only thing, my issue is that all I watch is Forensic Files, Dateline, and murder documentaries. So I have a problem with knowing anything that's going on television wise or movie wise other than murder. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Apparently Cole is from Disney Channel, not Nickelodeon.
Oh boy, you are.
I didn't watch either one. Didn't have cable growing up. Actually, I don't even think we had color TV when I grew up. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We're the same age.
You can't say that when you're telling people we're the same age. Okay?
You know what though? We did have a party line. Do you know what a party line is?
Oh, I totally know what that is. My grandmother
Yeah.
had a party line, and that's where you you share a telephone line with someone.
Yeah.
I
So
remember getting the first microwave.
Yeah, we shared a telephone line with like 10 other families out in the country.
Oh.
And when you go to
Jesus.
use it, you'd have to pick it up and see if somebody was on it. And there was this old lady that lived by us who would always like be sitting on it and listening to everybody's conversations. And we're like, we can hear you.
Oh,
But yeah,
see,
and
I
our
would
phone
love
number,
that.
our phone number was only 4 digits.
Oh, that's a small.
3955.
I still remember my phone number from when I was a kid, but it's like my password for everything, so I can't say it.
My password. Oh, I'm not going to say it because if she's watching, she'll know to get into everything in my life. It's somebody from my past's last digits of their phone number.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's crazy that we can't I can't I don't even know any of my best friends' phone numbers now because
I know my parents' home number. I don't know their cell phones, and I know. Yeah, because they live out in the middle of nowhere and they're afraid to get rid of it. And I know Dewey's, and that's it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this ties in actually because I remember rotary dial. And when I went to I do remember this from my Shit's audition. I was like, for some reason, I feel like I took an imaginary phone and rotary dialed for way too long a time. And did the numbers method rotary dialing, and then picked up the phone. And so I think on my audition tape there is maybe 4 minutes, which is a long time, of rotary dialing silently. Yeah.
Good thing you blacked out.
Yeah. I was probably so bored with myself.
So in my audition, I don't think I've ever told anybody this, especially public. I actually had the completely bullshit part of my audition because they wanted us to bring something for show and tell.
Okay.
Something that had something from our past that had a really emotional connection for us. Well, I don't
have no emotions.
That and I don't really have any possessions from my past. I don't hold on to possessions. I moved around so much and was homeless for so long that I don't keep it. I don't have anything from my past.
You were doing Marie Kondo before Marie Kondo.
Yeah, I was doing it because I was just really poor and not because there weren't things that sparked joy. There was no joy. And so I don't really have anything. I don't think of really possessions in a sentimental way. Yeah. So I'm like, well, crap. I've got to have something. So I went on Amazon and I found whatever I could that could deliver next morning.
Oh my God.
But I did find something that kind of had a connection to something of my past. So one of the things that inspired me to be a designer was the Michael Graves collaboration with Target from 20 years ago. It was toasters and tea kettles and spatulas and this really cool, you know how they do designer collaborations at Target? Yeah. So it was their very first one they ever did. And so I'm like, well, the only thing from that collection that could deliver next morning was a timer for the kitchen.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, we're going to go with this. So I told this story about how this timer, my mom used to time everything I did and would time my homework.
Because now I can't wait till it gets released. And people are watching you do this bullshit story about this timer in your childhood.
Yeah, and I'm like, little did she know that when she was giving me all these timelines for this, she was actually inspiring me to be a designer.
Yeah, this needs to be released. So
you heard it here first, people. But again, that being said, the Michael Graves collection did inspire me to be a designer. My mom did actually time a lot of things. So yeah. It was a story created from a lot of truths, just not the exact.
Actually, one of my favorite quotes of all time is, just because it's fiction doesn't mean it's not true. Because when you read a book and stuff like that, it's fiction, but it's true. It can be true, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that quote better, but better than it says itself. But that it could be true for you. This is how I justify every lie.
I know a few people who are able to really believe things are true when they're not. They convince themselves and everything. All right. I love how this actually doesn't even like give me a timer of how long we've been on here. So I don't even know. Ooh,
Oh,
Amazon
okay. Well, I
package.
know we started at
My
12 and
mom's
it's
light
12:50.
bulbs were just delivered. Oh yeah, we started at 12. We've been here almost an hour. How smart are you just to look at the clock to see
I
how
looked
long
at the
we've been
clock.
on?
Well, because I did think like, because every time I've said something now, I've kind of stopped and thought, I will let you do the next thing because maybe you want to wrap it up. That's what and I wasn't sure. So that's the awkward. Anytime there's been an awkward pause after I've spoken, it's because I was like,
I love that somebody just brought up season 1 fashion of mine. It makes me laugh because me and the boys are in the process of doing a really cool collaboration for Queer Eye. And part of it is like some outfits needed to be chosen. And the company that we're doing this collaboration said, oh, by the way, you don't have the fashion doesn't have to be like it was in season 1. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because the fashion from season 1 was not me at all. Like all the pastel colors and stuff and the bright blonde hair.
oh really?
Like,
They styled you?
yeah, the original executive producers of the show, like that have been around since the original Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, I think they had a very specific Bobby in their mind. And I think it was, they're like, oh, he's the blonde one, so he should be like Carson, the bright blonde hair, the loud clothing.
Yeah.
Like, I think they just put me in the same category. So he's the blonde one, he'll be Carson.
Yeah.
And so my clothing, and I'd say choices, but they weren't choices, for season 1 and most of season 2 were not me at all. And it wasn't until about mid-season 2 that I'm like, all right, you can't fire me now. I'm not wearing this.
Yeah.
No.
But somebody did say it cuts you off after an hour.
Oh, somebody just said that I should have taken Emily's hint to wrap up. Well,
so bad.
Well, on that note, are you ready for some trivia?
Yes.
All right, and everybody remember, so if Emily gets all these right, I'm going to donate $250 to Feed America, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And if she gets them all wrong,
if I get them all wrong, I'm donating the $250 to Feed America.
How about we just both donate to them? I think that's even better.
Well, let's just see if I get them right.
Let's see how it goes. All right. So the very first question is a question that I've asked you before, and you got wrong.
Oh,
so
I almost swore with an F word.
Oh, fuckity fuck. It's live. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
So question 1.
Wait, is it like a geographical or presidential? Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
So first of all, it's not presidential because you guys don't have a president. You have a prime minister.
Okay. Maybe I need my glasses for this.
No. I'll say them. You don't need to read them.
Okay.
So what is the capital of Canada?
Oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
We've talked about this.
I know. Hold on. Ottawa.
Yay!
Oh, thank God.
Yes.
You know what? It doesn't even matter that I got it because the amount of time it took me to get it is embarrassing enough.
I was out to dinner one night with a straight couple friend of ours, and she's Canadian and from Ottawa, and he's American. I forget where he's from. And I brought up in conversation, I was like, you know what? It always amazes me the amount of Americans who don't know what the capital of Canada is. Like, they're our neighbor. Like,
and then you're like,
we should know.
And there's a Canadian who doesn't know.
Yeah, and she looks at him and she's like, you know, right, babe? And he's like, yeah, it's Toronto. And she's like, no, it's Ottawa,
No.
where I'm from. All right.
Boy.
So speaking of Ottawa, question number 2.
Okay.
It's a true or false.
Okay.
So Ottawa is the coldest capital in the world.
True or false?
True or false?
Coldest capital in the world. I'm gonna say true. Oh no!
It is the second coldest capital. Moscow is colder.
Oh, I didn't know you said world.
Oh, well, it's the only capital. Oh, you thought it was a true.
I feel like that needs to be arbitrated because
all right, we'll give you that one.
You're doing a Canadian thing, so my mind isn't in Moscow; it's in Canada.
All right, question 3.
Mm-hmm.
Canada, and this is true or false as well, Canada only got its own flag in 1965.
Do you have any questions about coffee crisps, ketchup chips?
Yeah, they're coming. They're coming.
Okay.
There's 15 of them.
Oh, okay. But we're not going to run out of time when I know the answers to that. Okay, Canada only got its Canadian flag when?
1965.
I mean, true.
It's right. You're right.
Yes,
Canada got its own flag 100 years after it became a country, in February 1965.
Yes.
So this one's a bit geographical, a bit funny.
Oh, that's okay. I know all the answers now.
The townspeople of Nanaimo, BC, race their blank as part of an annual aquatic tradition.
Their snowmobiles? No. That wasn't an answer. That was
just thinking in your head. That's fine.
They race there as an aquatic. I thought it was a trick. I'm like, oh, you're gonna want some. Oh, canoes. No.
You were just thinking again. You're just thinking. Yep. It's kind of like a canoe, but you keep it in your bathroom.
I don't know. Snowshoes? No.
Bathtubs.
What?
They race their bathtubs.
Oh, that's
know,
so.
right?
You went on some site and looked up because you didn't want to pay $250 to feed people. So you looked up hard questions. Because honestly, ask me anything about Canadian chocolate.
Actually, all I did was click on the first page that had interesting facts about Canada.
I mean, yeah, it's an interesting fact because no one knows it. It wouldn't be interesting if people knew it.
I don't know. I bet you the people of Nanaimo know it well.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I love my bathtub. And exactly, everyone's on my side. Who the hell knew that? No one.
All right, if we do get cut off in an hour, I'll click back on and we'll go back to finish these.
Okay, I want to prove that I really do know things.
So question 6. Some of the world's most popular superheroes were conceived by Canadian minds, including Superman and Wolverine. That being said, true or false, it is against Canadian law to depict illegal acts in comic books.
In Canadian they have to be Canadian comic books, right? Yeah, because because then
it's against Canadian law to have comics that depict criminal acts. That's all the law said.
I would say yes, because I feel like Canada's that type of girl. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Question 7. Canada is home to the largest blank orgy.
Oh, imagine if I'm like, oh, I know that one. The largest
blank orgy.
Like a certain type of orgy.
Yep, a certain type of orgy.
Oh my God, where did you find this information?
First page about
Canadian
Canadian facts.
From people being quarantined, FYI. This is people like diving deep. The orgy. Can you give me a hint?
My anaconda don't. My anaconda don't.
Oh. My anaconda. I mean, snake?
Yes!
What?
Yes!
Oh
snake orgy!
Crazy.
So,
Why would anyone want that?
Canada is home to the Narcissi snake pits of Manitoba, the largest orgy of garter snakes in the world. I saw a documentary